It's 6:30 on Thursday, the 12th of April, 1973, and you're listening to BBC Radio 4 in stereo. It's time for Look Away Now.
My name's Freddie Flintoff. I fell off a pedalo in 2007, and when I woke up, it were 1973. Am I mad? In a coma? Back in time? Or just still drunk from my post-Ashes binge-a-thon? Everything's so different.
Well, chaps, looks like we've lost the Gillette Cup. They've set us 176 to get in our 60 overs, thanks to Dennis Amos's swashbuckling 47 off 200 balls. We're going to have to go at nearly 3 and over. It simply can't be done.
Mind you, it's not all bad.
Right, orders for the drinks interval. Freddie?
Water.
Are you mad? Being an Oxford graduate, like all county captains back then, I mean now, I'm having a gin and tonic.
Oh, right. Well, pint of bitter, then.
Ah, you're a homosexual, eh?
With a whiskey chaser?
Oh, that's more like it.
How am I going to get back to 2007? Actually, do I really want to? They let me have a meat pie at the end of me run-up and a pint between overs. It's brilliant here.
If you don't want to know the scores, look away now.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Look Away Now. I'm Garry Richardson and this is the latest I've ever been up. We're coming to you tonight from the Dennis Compton Suite at the Cricketers Club in the heart of London's West End. The Cricketers is a private members club for cricket lovers which was founded in 1964, about a week after the start of the current Cricket World Cup. Well, Look Away Now is a show about the last week of sport as well as the sporting weekend ahead. So we'll be sort of looking backwards and forwards at the same time. A bit like Linda Blair in The Exorcist, only with less vomit and more badminton. What a week it's been for Manchester United, who won 8-3 on aggregate against Roma. Wayne Rooney had to take off a boot and sock to work out the total number of goals scored. Of course, on Saturday night, Joe Calzaghe retained his WBO super middleweight title when he beat the former reality show contestant Peter Manfredo in Cardiff. Saturday's fight was so popular that boxing promoter Frank Warren has already set up a whole string of new opponents for him to take on this very night. In fact, we can go live now to Cardiff and our correspondent Lawrence Howarth. Lawrence, what's happening there?
Incredible scenes here in Cardiff, Gary. Calzaghe is cruising through this list of opponents like a British Navy vessel through Iranian waters. Only much, much better. First up against him tonight was the irritating posh man who just got fired from The Apprentice. And the stadium cheered with joy as Calzaghe took him down in under a minute. The crowd was baying for posh, failed business person blood. But Calzaghe, one of boxing's gentlemen, simply smashed him 4 times in the face and smacked him to the ground. He then looked him in the badly bruised, half-shut eye and, in a neat twist on Sir Alan Sugar's catchphrase, he said, "You're punched." But no rest for Calzaghe tonight as into the ring steps his new opponent. From the reality TV world, it's the once fairly famous for no very good reason Jeremy Spake from Airport. Calzaghe comes out full of intent, lunges at Spake, and my God, extraordinary! A simple left to the chin, and he has punched Jeremy Spake from Airport's face clean off. Spake is standing there, but his face is 30 rows back, looking totally stunned. So Spake came from faceless anonymity, and he returns quite literally to faceless anonymity. Back to you, Gary.
Lawrence, thank you very much indeed. Now, like every other sports programme these days, we have 3 ex-professional footballers in the studio watching things on TV monitors that we're not allowed to broadcast. However, because it's 6:30 on a Thursday, there's no football on, so instead they're watching films. Well, the first of our experts is the one-time Motherwell and Tranmere midfielder Andy McMahon, who'll be watching The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, that's right, Gary, but I can't say I'm expecting a feast of cinema on this one. Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman, they're both decent actors, but they aren't really capable of individual moments of brilliance like you'd get with, say, Jim Carrey or Steven Seagal. Haven't heard much about the plot. What we do know is that there will be a prison involved at some stage, and that suggests we're in for a pretty dour, attritional encounter. This is not one for the neutrals, this. We're moments from the opening sequence.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, an interesting statistic on Morgan Freeman. In 5 of his last 6 films, he's played someone who is wise. Well, next up is the former Oldham Athletic manager Stan Allen. Stan, I think your film is just underway, so what are you watching?
Well, I'm watching a film called Star Wars, Gary, and there's not much happening in the first few minutes, mainly a load of words scrolling across the screen into the distance, and there's no place for that in the modern film. Just now we had a touch of handbags with a couple of droids, but that's as good as it's got so far.
All quiet so far then in the galaxy far, far away. Finally, there's ex-Walsall defender Brian Brown, who was meant to be watching Lethal Weapon 2, but due to a technical problem, the only channel we can get on his monitor is Film 4. So what are you watching, Brian?
Well, they say cinema's a global game these days, Gary, and here's proof. I'm watching a film called The Seventh Seal by a much-hyped Swedish lad called Ingemar Bergman, and with him being a Scandinavian, I'm expecting it to be technically sound, with a few steamy sauna seas thrown in. Oh, we're underway here.
Thank you very much indeed. And we'll be getting updates on all 3 films throughout the show. You'll miss none of the action, of course.
And this is quite extraordinary. Sir Trevor Brooking has dropped his trousers and put his own balls into the pot for the 4th round of the FA Cup.
Let's reflect more on Chelsea's brilliant win in Spain. Questions still have to be asked, though, about players diving. I watched the game, bumped into the television at one stage, and Drogba fell over. I'm delighted now, though, to be joined by the man who masterminded that win, Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho. Jose, Manchester United, though, they stole your thunder, didn't they?
No. 7-1 is like kiddie football. When the start, might as well put his coat down as post and borrow coat of Heinze for other post, and then they all kick tennis ball around. It is pathetic.
You didn't watch the Manchester United first half goals, then?
Don't push it, Gary.
Sorry, you're man of the match, Jose. I guess Michael Essien again, he can play anywhere, can't he?
No. I don't want to talk about football anymore, Gary. You can speak about anything else. Music, films, scuba diving, no football.
OK, music. Do you like music?
Of course.
What's your favourite band?
Arctic Monkeys.
Arctic Monkeys? Why the Arctic Monkeys?
Arctic Monkeys, they're fantastic. Before, there was no Arctic Monkeys. Then suddenly, Arctic Monkeys everywhere. And I think also they have fantastic formation. They are very compact, with one up front, 2 in the middle, and 1 at the back between his sticks.
Would you like to manage them?
No.
Why not?
I think they would have problems with rotation system.
Josie, hang on a moment, sit
Very
tight,
nice.
because we've got to head back, I hear, to Cardiff for our punch-a-thon. Lawrence Howarth's watching.
Yes, thanks, Gary. Calzaghe is unstoppable here. His first opponent after the interval was Sound of Music star Connie Fisher. She stepped into the ring saying, "You wouldn't hit a woman, would you?" But she was wrong. It turns out Calzaghe would hit a woman, and very well at that. But now, stepping into the ring are 3 contestants from the Dragon's Den. They have met Evan Davis and his slightly weird eyes. But Calzaghe is a different prospect altogether. And they're down. He has felled them all with just one mighty punch. Oh, I hope to God that's reggae sauce I'm seeing all over the place. But I fear it's blood, their blood, and masses of it. Calzaghe was the dragon. The ring was his den, and the only investment they've received is a fist in the head. That's it from Cardiff tonight. Back to you, Gary.
Now, I think we've got Jose Mourinho still on the line. Josie, are you still there?
Yes.
Thank you for hanging on.
No problem.
So what about your spare time? What do you do on, say, Saturday night after matches?
Saturday night after me I go home, and I like watch Doctor Who.
And with your family?
With my family and Drogba. Drogba like Doctor Who. When Doctor Who come on, Drogba is always the one behind the couch lying on the ground.
Drogba's afraid?
No, practicing his diving. But I think watching Doctor Who is like watching Chelsea.
Let me guess, you're the doctor?
Of course. There have been many doctors, but this one is the best. He is a champion. He has nice coat and nice scarf, and every week he saves the planet from disaster by killing the bad alien man monster.
And have you told Mr. Abramovich about... Sorry?
Davros. He is Davros.
Why do you call him Davros?
Because he is Davros. Because he is trying to make my players into Daleks, and also because of what he said before the game against Watford.
What did he say?
Exterminate.
So who are the Daleks? Shevchenko?
I think he was Dalek before he arrived, but now he is a Dalek who is scoring for fun. Also, I think Balak might be a Dalek. I'm not sure. Terry is not a Dalek. Lampard is definitely not a Dalek.
Is Ashley Cole a Dalek?
No, he's just confused.
Jose Mourinho, then.
And Audley Harrison has lost in the first round to himself. A new low for Harrison.
I'm Garry Richardson, and this is Look Away Now on Radio 4. And of course, as the Champions League and Premiership reach their exciting climax, you'll be able to catch it all on our neighbour station, 5 Live. But don't forget about our neighbour's sister station, 5 Live Sports Extra, with all its additional sports coverage.
Coming up in May on 5 Live Sports Extra, men's 50-metre prone pair rifle shooting from Lausanne.
Burridge resets himself, takes his time. It's away, it's hit.
And there's the World Angling Tournament live from Cabo San Lucas.
That's a good cast. Now we wait.
Plus archery from Shanghai.
Park Sung-hyun won't want to rush this one. It's away, it's hit.
Then there's the European Open darts from The Hague.
140.
140 there for Andy.
Ted, you require 82.
Ted requires 82.
And we've got exclusive coverage of the indoor bowls from Preston.
And Jeff Rabkin lines up his first draw on the forehand. It's away. It's it.
5 Live Sports Extra. If it's a sport and it's extra, it's on 5 Live Sports Extra.
And of course you won't want to miss any of that. Now, we all saw the horrific violence that flared up in Rome and Seville last week. My next guest, though, was regularly involved in such scenes, albeit in a very different sporting arena. Reading from his recently published memoirs, The Tennis Factory, would you please welcome William Smythe?
Wimbledon final, 1998. You could feel it in the air that day. Sampras versus Ivanisevic. The Yanks and the Croats. Bunch of pussies. We'd have them both. On finals day, centre court is where it all goes down. Where for that one moment you feel like you belong. Like you're alive. You forget about all the things that are wrong in your life. Avoiding inheritance tax. Getting the MOT on your Porsche before the Beaujolais run. But the crowd that day didn't want no trouble, so we had to stir it up. A few insults get flung. "Will you keep it down?" says the umpire. So we all start chanting. "Who's that sitting at the top of a ladder? It's the umpire! It's the umpire!" He don't like that, nor do the people around us. They've come to see tennis, not a ruck. But it ain't up to them. It's up to us. I stood on my seat. "Come on then, you privies!" And it went off. A blur of linen and slaps. It was mental. Then they did the only thing they could to get us out of the court. Cliff Richard started to sing.
Chilling stuff. William, I read the whole of your book, and I can't help wondering why this tennis hooliganism isn't more widely reported. Why?
Well, no one knows about it. I mean, nowadays the hooligans communicate via their Blackberries or get their secretaries to liaise with each other, and then they convene in a Waitrose car park in East Putney or New Malden and start playing ball boy with each other's teeth.
And back in those days, you were really in amongst it. What marked you out?
We were the first crew to use strawberries as weapons.
That doesn't sound very frightening.
Well, you try taking a full-size English strawberry in the face at point-blank range. It's no picnic, I can assure you.
Whereas, I suppose taking some salad, some crusty bread, a bit of smoked salmon and maybe some pâté in the face, that would be a picnic.
Don't trivialise this, Gary.
Oh,
that was a bad one.
William, just hang on for a second. We'll break off for a second because it sounds like there's been a pretty nasty incident over at Shawshank. Andy McMahon, what's happening?
Oh, it's depressing here, Gary. Oh, dear me, some very unfortunate decisions have put Robbins in the slammer. And once in there, things have turned really ugly. I mean, one incident in the shower, that is not really what you want to see on a television screen, I can tell you. And then it was repeated several more times in various locations round the prison. Absolutely sickening it was. The officials did nothing.
Thank you very much. Elsewhere tonight, over on Sky Box Office, the new version of King Kong. We're hearing it's a film abandoned after absolutely everyone agreed there was no way they could have got such a massive monkey back to New York on such a tiny boat. Well, as you probably gathered, one of the sides has opened their account over at Star Wars, but tell us who stands.
Yeah, it's 1-0 to the Empire, Gary. They've just destroyed Alderaan, and it's no more than they deserve, because they are totally dominant at the moment. The Rebel Alliance aren't getting a look in. They really aren't. It's because they cannot cope with... his name escapes me, but it's the big black fella.
Darth Vader, Stan.
Yeah, Darth Vader, that's right.
Yes, anyway, you can see no way back, I'm sure, for the Rebel Alliance from here.
No, absolutely not, Gary. I mean, 1-0 can be a dangerous lead, of course, but not in this case. For the Rebel Alliance to win from here, well, that'd be science fiction. No, it's the Empire for the win, definitely.
Brian, anything to report from the Seventh Seal?
No.
Care to elaborate on that a bit?
No.
Okay. William, sorry for the interruption. I'm sure you appreciate we did need those updates. I still can't quite get my head around the fact that someone so mild-mannered as Tim Henman would have a crew.
Oh, he was the worst. I mean, the Henman fans were psychos. And Tim used to egg them on. I mean, that thing he does when he clenches his fist, that's his signal to them that he wants a death.
What sort of matches tended to attract the most trouble, would you say?
Oh, without a doubt, the most hardcore stuff always went off around the international scene.
Why do you think that Great Britain's Davis Cup matches attracted so much trouble?
Well, if you'd spent thousands following Jeremy Bates and Mark Cox around Europe, you'd turn to violence.
Yeah, I would. William Smythe, thank you very much indeed.
One of the horses has lost its rider, but one of the other horses on the stand side seems to have picked up an extra 2 new riders. Unusual, but I suppose they're only little.
Now, last weekend saw the conclusion of the Masters, with many of the world's top golfers complaining that the Augusta National Course was simply too hard. Too hard? I mean, there wasn't a single hole with a windmill. Where was the one where you have to hit it into a crocodile's mouth? Anyway, the winner, Zach Johnson, told reporters that during the final round on Easter Sunday, Jesus was with me every step. And if you listen to the BBC highlights very carefully...
Zach Johnson now. Second shot to the par 4 ninth. Oh, and that is heading for the water. And it's into the water, but it doesn't actually seem to have sunk. In fact, the ball is almost walking on the water, up the bank and now onto the green to within 6 feet of the hole. Extraordinary.
Well, dramatic news here at Amen Corner. I'm hearing that Zach Johnson has contracted leprosy. His caddy's there trying to console him now, and the leprosy's gone there. That's exactly the sort of stroke of luck every Masters winner needs.
Zach Johnson's drive at the 15th looks straight, but he's not got a lot of distance on it. Hello, a long-haired, beardy bloke in a robe's just run onto the fairway and lobbed the ball 50 yards further on. Well, they do say golf moves in mysterious ways.
Let's just pause. Brian, what's happening down at the Seal?
Well, this is becoming a joke now, Gary. They're playing chess. I mean, do these people not realise they're in the entertainment industry? I'm sorry. And one of them, Gary, incidentally, quite literally, looks like death. If they think 2 old blokes playing chess on a beach is entertainment, we have got a problem.
Now
What with Shawshank?
well, we'll come to that in a minute.
Robbins has vanished. I'm just looking at it now. People are crowding into his empty cell. Freeman's in there, several of the guards, even the governor of the prison has got involved, actually. And, well, you have to say he's thrown something there. A stone, I think it was, and... Well, unbelievably, that's gone straight through a poster of Raquel Welch. Just stay with me a second here, Gary. The governor's crossing to the poster. I think he might be about to pull it down. He does, and... Oh! Oh, there's a hole in the wall! Gary, this is unbelievable! It's a tunnel behind Raquel Welch! I'll bet you he's used the tiny rock hammer Freeman smuggled into him earlier to dig it. Of course! I thought at the time that rock hammer might be important. And that, Gary, is how it's turned out.
Oh, it's high, and it's long, and there goes Johnny Wilkinson's leg. It's finally come off.
Now, if you listen hard this week, you may just be aware of the sound of leather on wood. No, it's not John Terry taking another boot to the head, but the start of the domestic cricket season. Cricket, more than any other sport, has long been associated with intellectuals, but one of the current England teams stands out as a unique philosopher and scholar. It is, of course, Kevin Pietersen, and while he was out of the game with a rib injury some months ago, he made a series of short audio documentaries for us about one of his more recent interests.
For I am an English gentleman. My name is Kevin Pietersen. Hi, Kevin Pietersen here. Pip, pip. The Houses of Parliament. Big famous building by the Thames, big river full of waters. But let me tell you, democracy is just a fancy word for talk, talk, talk. It wastes time. The amount of time we spent in Australia talking about why we were losing the Ashes. Why do I want to be listening to people yakking on about cricket when I can be in the gym bench pressing a howitzer? I love getting pumped. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the silly old Houses of Parliament. Terence, are we metal to metal? Yeah. I love Terence. Stop! Okay, here we are. What are you trying to do, Excuse me, please, just gonna have a look around. Have you got the ID? ID? Yeah, you need ID. Well, it's gone now, isn't it? I had my ID on the side of the car. It says Kevin Pietersen, Hampshire, England. Although, I'll be honest, I really turn out for Hampshire these days. The international schedule is grueling. Take note, ICC. Anyway, let me in. Out of the way. Oi, what are you doing? I'm just gonna have a look around. I'm not gonna change any laws or anything. I am not a terrorist threat. I'm a British citizen. Look, I'm sorry, Radio 4. I can't really talk anymore. I'm being dragged away. Oi, do not drag me like that. These are expensive trainers. I didn't pay for them myself, but I happen to know. I can pop.
My next guest is Richie Webb, our regular music and sport correspondent. You might think that means he spends a lot of his time just waiting in vain for the follow-up to Hoddle and Waddle's Diamond Lights. But he assures me that isn't true. Richie, what have you been up to this week?
With the semi-finals this coming weekend, I've decided to resurrect that old favourite, the FA Cup song.
OK, there are 4 teams still in it. Which one have you gone for?
Well, Gary, my song is for all 4 teams, and this is the genius of it. It's personal to all 4, whilst being a single song. What I've done is I've simply left gaps for the fans of the team in question to fill in the words appropriate to their team. So I'll show you. Go on, pick a team.
I'll go for Watford.
Well, you'll get good odds, if nothing else.
Come on, the lads in
Yellow, red.
This is our greatest day. Everyone here in
Hertfordshire.
We'll cheer you on your way. Hop on the bus at
Vicarage Road.
Ready to face the foe. A quick trip down the
A409.
With
AD Boothroyd.
in the dugout. Let's show them what we can do. We
Shitu.
at the back.
Boatsa.
Up front, we'll score more goals than you. We're gonna win the FA Cup and
Gavin Mann.
we'll lift it up. Hear the Bobby Army sing.
The Hornets.
Are the Kings.
Thank you. So easy, Gary, that an idiot could pull it off. And to prove it, I'm going to get the audience to fill in the gaps now, as if it was for Blackburn Rovers.
Come on, the lads in blue, white. This is our greatest day. Everyone here in Lancashire will cheer you on your way. Hop on the bus at Ewood Park, ready to face the foe. A quick trip down the M6 and M1. Wembley we will go with Marnie in the dugout. Let's show them what we can do. We've got the back and the front. We'll score more goals than you. We're gonna win the FA Cup and more than fans will lift it up. Hear the Bobby Army sing. Rovers are the Kings.
Thing is, Gary, this has global legs.
Meaning?
Well, it's the semi-final of the German equivalent of the FA Cup in a couple of weeks. This song would work just as perfectly for FC Nuremberg as it would for Watford.
Go on, then.
I'll have a go.
Come Come on, the lads in
Red.
and
Black, I'm guessing.
This is our greatest day. Everyone here in
Bavaria.
cheer you on your way. Hop on the bus at
Bavaria.
ready to face the foe. A quick trip down the
Autobahn to Berlin.
we will go with
Hans Meyer.
in the dugout.
Good call, Gary.
Let's show 'em what we can do. We
A German.
at the back and
Another German.
up front. We'll score more goals than you. We're gonna win.
The Deutsche Fußballbund Pokal and a German
Hey, the Barbie Army team
FC Nuremberg.
are the kings.
Thank you.
Richie Webb, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's just about it. Next week on...
Shawshank.
let's go straight to Andy McMahon at the Shawshank Redemption for full time, I think.
Oh, what a film. It's all over here. He's got the money, Gary. It was under a tree in a field miles from anywhere. Morgan Freeman, what an actor.
And that strangled cry to my left indicates that there's also been a major late development at Star Wars. But who's got the decisive last-minute winner? It's perhaps not who you'd imagine, Stan.
They've done it, Gary! It's the Rebel Alliance! Unbelievable! They have been outgunned and outfought right the way through this contest, but they have stolen the glory in the final seconds. A little X-Wing fighter gets played into the danger area. He takes a shot from a long way out. He wasn't even using his automatic guidance system, Gary. He takes the shot, and he has no right to score from there. No right, but in it goes, and bang, good night, Death Star.
But who's actually had the shot, Stan? Who's had the shot?
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a look and see if we can get a replay here. I think it might have been Han Solo.
I'm hearing in my ear it was in fact Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, Han Solo or possibly Wedge.
We think it was Skywalker, Stan.
Oh, here we go, Gary. Here's the replay. It was Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Gary. This film has had it all, Gary. Drama, tension, great action and Wookiees. And it's over, it's all over. Oh, the Rebel Alliance has won and they will be dancing in the streets of Tatooine tonight.
You couldn't have scripted it. Although I suppose technically someone did. Can we make it 3 with the 7th seal, Brian?
Now they've all died of the plague or something here. Total shit.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Before we go this evening, some great news just in. Apparently the website is red hot at the moment with requests for downloads of Richie's FA Cup song. And whilst we've been on air, Truro City, a non-league club in the final of next month's FA Vase Trophy, have officially adopted the song as their anthem. Richie, will you do the honours, please, for Truro City?
I know nothing of the team, Gary. I'm just going to end up insulted.
Just do it, would you? Ladies and gentlemen, good night.
Come on, the lads in
Shirts,
and
shorts.
This is our greatest day. Everyone here in
Cornwall. Sorry.
We'll cheer you on your way.
Unbelievable.
Hop on the bus at
Truro International Coach Station.
ready to face the foe.
No idea.
A quick trip down the
Well, now this is a hell of a journey.
to Wembley we will go.
It's a good hour and a half to Exeter for a kick-off. On the A30, if memory serves, and then you
Look
can...
Away Now was presented by Garry Richardson with Lawrence Howarth, Dave Lamb, Richie Webb, Miles Jupp, Mario Rosenstock and Will Smith. It was written by the cast, Mark Evans, Will Ing, Danielle Ward, Tony Roach, Roger Drew and Kieran Quirk, with additional material from Owen Parker and Andrew Douglas. The music was by Richie Webb. Look Away Now was produced by Will Saunders.
A part-time manager.
In the dugout, let's show 'em what we can do. We
A plumber.
at the back and
A postman.
up front, we'll score more goals than you. We're gonna win.
The FA Vase, and may I apologise for any offence.
We'll lift it up. Hey, the Barbie Army sing.
Pasties.
Are the kings.
And there's another chance to hear Look Away Now tomorrow night at 11 o'clock.